Thank you so much. Welcome. It's a pleasure
Hello,
to have
hi.
you here.
Hi, thank you.
So, can I kindly ask everyone to sit so we can start with these amazing sessions as well? So, Sławosz, it's a pleasure to have you here. You are from the new generation of astronaut. You were the first astronaut also to fly on a commercial flight. So, my very first question will be for you. Do you actually feel that we are jumping into a new era with also the International Astronautical Station also deorbiting in 2031, already some commercial operations? How do you feel about that?
I am actually a second astronaut
Oh,
flying on a commercial
fantastic.
mission from the European Space Agency.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, I would say the market is changing, and it looks different now for our selection as it looked in 2008 for the previous selection of astronauts. Back then, there were 5, 6 people selected as astronauts, and for us, it was 5 career astronauts. So 5 colleagues who are training for long missions on the International Space Stations, typically 6 months. And for us, ESA selected as well 12, if I'm not mistaken, 11 or 12 reserve astronauts. So I was one of the reserve astronauts. So from the countries that were supposed to build a mission on their side, on the, with a national push, national technology, national science to be built, and then later on execute the mission through ESA. And I'm the second project astronaut that went through that path.
Thank you so much, Sławosz. So thank you for your inputs. Can I kindly ask to all the people that are sitting there, that are standing there, if they can sit? Thank you. So we make sure that everyone can have a good look of Sławosz. And also a little bit of silence so we can also have a good conversation. Sorry about that. Fantastic. So in terms also of your training, and since indeed we touched a little bit upon the training as well, I wanted to ask you as well, if during the training you felt a little bit a different culture, considering also the commercial element, if some way it was also different, the training itself, how was it? Tell us more.
Yeah, so let's say our training compared to a standard career astronaut training is a bit different. So training for a commercial mission, the commercial mission is shorter. It is very intense. So every single minute on orbit counts, and we have a lot to do. Compared to long-term missions, astronauts, they have to do physical training. So using, maintaining their physical health quite substantially, it's 2.5 hours per day. We don't do it on commercial missions. We don't maintain the ISS as a platform, but we are focused on doing experiments, on doing tech demonstrations, running educational events in schools or events with media, but really every single minute counts. So actually the training flow is slightly different. The training is tailored exactly to the tasks that we are going to be doing on the station. And so we were trained only on the modules that we were going to use on the station. We were trained on the hardware that was needed for us, how to connect our hardware and new experiments that we were bringing to the station, but we were not having the full training of the ISS. So for example, I was not trained on the Russian segment of the International Space Station. It was needed for us. We were not working in the Russian segment. We were working only in the American segment. And for me, mostly 80% of my time I spent in Columbus, in our European laboratory on the ISS. So I know Columbus inside out. I was trained on Columbus exactly like my colleagues from career astronauts. So to a level of a specialist level training. And I was certified as specialist Columbus user. But on other elements of the station, I didn't need to have such an extensive training. So the training flow is shorter. For me, from the moment I started really the mission-oriented training to the launch, it took more or less 12 months. And thanks to that, we can execute missions faster, but also we learn the stuff that we will need in orbit, but then we will have to be very, very efficient to use that time in the best way. Whereas colleagues from the career corps, they are being trained a bit on everything, because during 6 months, you never know what will happen, you never know what you might need to do, and the priorities might change. On a short mission, you go with very clear, defined set of goals and objectives for your institutes, private sector, and you try to use this time to the maximum. That's why this training flow is designed in a completely different way.
So you really didn't feel like there was a difference in terms of culture because of the commercialization of the flight? It was more...
Yeah, often people think, and I was asked this question already today on another stage, is, oh yeah, these short missions are a bit like space tourism. Actually, to a certain extent, there was this push early on at the beginning, but then later on, we turned into government astronauts, running national scientific complements. Executing science, we go to space to use the ISS as the most amazing scientific laboratory that humanity has ever built. I am a scientist, I'm an engineer. I've been building space systems for the past 17 years. And I was working at CERN here on Earth, you know, with a big collider. And then I had this amazing opportunity and chance to use the ISS as the scientific laboratory for institutes from Poland, as well as for the ones from Europe.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. And I saw also a Polish dumpling that you were cooking. That was very fun. How was it? How did you taste it? Like the original one?
Yeah, everyone talks about dumplings. It was very well covered in the Polish media, I would say. Yeah, so we take to space, especially, maybe let me start with that Ignis mission. Ignis, for us, it's a Latin name, means fire. I think fire because we have a lot of energy, motivation in Poland. That was our spark. I hope a new spark for space technologies in the country. So obviously, on a space mission, we try to take national elements as well. And food is an element of every single culture. So being able to bring some Polish specialties, sharing them among all the colleagues in orbit and making them taste a bit of Poland as well, like these were prepared by Polish cooks that we managed to dry freeze them, ship to the US, then ship to the ISS, just to be able to share a meal with other people. And I think there is this very important human aspect of every mission. We represent our countries, but we are one group of people working together on this amazing platform. And food is a part of culture, but it's not only food. I took the music of Chopin. That was a Polish composer, and I managed to bring bring elements from space and give it during the Chopin contest in the fall of the last year. I took as well the PhD cover page of Marie Skłodowska-Curie, who was Polish-born French scientist who won 2 Nobel Prizes. So, all these aspects that are a big part of culture, we try to bring to space to showcase where we are from and to share the part of our story.
Absolutely. I'm not Italian, so on the food, totally agree, for sure. And also, looking forward, indeed, we talk about the human aspect of the ESS. Are there any key lessons that we learn from ESS that we want to bring also after this post-ESS area?
Oh, post-ISS, you mean?
Yes, already we are on
what will be next?
After 2030 already.
Yeah, so just for some people who might not know, the ISS program is coming to an end. The platform is getting older. The first elements were still lifted to orbit in the 90s. What is one of the most amazing facts for me is that since 2nd of November, year 2000, we have a constant human presence on orbit. It's been over 25 years, over a quarter of a century, that we have a constant human presence on the International Space Station. For me as an engineer, it is mind-blowing that actually we can do it reliably for such a long time. But what kind of opportunities this unlocks for humanity if we can maintain life for a quarter of a century on orbit. So what's next? There are new commercial platforms coming up. So on the low Earth orbit, I went to space with Axiom Space, and Axiom is working on their space station that potentially is going to be lifted, dock to the ISS, move some hardware in between the ISS, and then undock and building more modules around that to assure the continuity of science on low Earth orbit. This is one. There is Voyager space, where there is a big part of Airbus and Switzerland that contributes to a big consortium together with Japan and the partners from the United States. There is a vast space station concept that potentially will dock to Dragon and will extend the livable volume of the Dragon to a much bigger volume, and maybe this is the way that the next stations are going to evolve. But let's say these are commercial platforms. We, as the European Space Agency, are building the next station that is a lunar station called the Gateway. We are a big partner, and ESA is working on multiple modules for the Gateway station. And hopefully some of my colleagues, maybe me one day, or definitely some other colleagues from ESA, from the core, are going to fly to the lunar station, and I can't wait I can't wait for that to happen.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your perspective, your experience. We have still a few minutes. I'm going to give you the floor. If you want to conclude with a call for action or key lesson learned from the ESS, it's up to you. I'm giving you the free floor.
How about that? I can tell you a bit about the science complement, what we executed in space during the Polish mission. But after that, how about giving you the floor to a couple of questions, and I'll try to answer these ones. Maybe concerning Poland, that was the first time for Poland that we had access to the International Space Station. So there was this call from the European Space Agency to gather ideas from the country and to build science for the ISS. So out of almost 70 proposals, ESA selected 13. That there was enough, kind of funding as well as time of an astronaut for 13 to happen on orbit. What for me is amazing is that all 13 contracts that were concluded successfully, shipped to the ISS, executed on orbit successfully, and all of the results came back to the institutes, to the private sector, which I think already is a tremendous achievement. This shows that new economies that have never access to such platforms and are basically new actors on the market can successfully execute missions exceeding 100% of efficiency. This, for me, is tremendous. What we covered, anything from human psychology, human physiology, biotechnology, and my specialties, engineering, physics, and other systems. So I installed a couple of systems on the ISS that are still, as we talk, are working on the ISS up there and collecting data. So how about this? Let me maybe hands up if someone has a question. We have someone there. We have a question here. I don't know how we can do it because I have just...
Yes, my colleague will come right away with the mic.
I'm sure we'll manage.
Did he just hear? My colleague is coming behind you.
Hi, Sławosz. I saw the takeoff and I saw the arrival at the ISS and also the landing. Tell us a little bit, what went through your mind taking off, arriving at the space station, and the journey to come back to Earth?
Oh, that's such a broad question that I could talk for hours. There was a lot of stuff that went through my mind. And, from a human perspective, what is a really difficult moment is when you see your family for the last time before lunch, and then you have to wave at them, and then you go to the capsule, and you have chosen to go, but maybe it wasn't their dream to see you flying. So this is definitely a difficult and emotional moment. So I think that's part of what was going through my mind. But I remember very vividly, there is so many moments throughout the mission. A lot of people ask me if I was I was afraid, I was excited. I was a bit of both, but I was definitely more excited than afraid. And but I think the biggest moment during the mission was looking on the planet for the first time from Cupola. And Cupola is this window, looking back on home, on Earth, on all of us here from the station. And when, I was lowered with my eyes closed, and I was lowered by the crew, and they, we were touring the station the first day. They said, close your eyes. They lowered me head down, and then they said, now open your eyes. And there was this the most magical moment I have ever experienced. This moment of, like I opened my eyes and I did not expect the Earth to be so big, bright, and seen in such a panoramic view that you can start rotating yourself and go 360 degrees around and see the 360 degrees of the horizon. And this moment was, like what I didn't expect is, to feel so many emotions at this moment. Feeling, the Earth was so far, 400 kilometers, but yet so close that you feel you can almost touch it from Cupola. It didn't matter where we were above the planet. And what mattered is to see the whole Earth. And, it took me a couple of minutes to say, like, oh, hey, hang on, then there is a shoreline. And then I started to analyze where we are. But that was very, very secondary. What was first was really this feeling of being connected to Earth. And the second feeling that I experienced was, starting to notice these solar panels and radiators and Canadarm and all this structure around. And, feeling connected to myself as an engineer, as a scientist, and saying like, wow, this is that moment. This is true, and we are on the ISS, and now, the whole mission is ahead of us to do all the science for hundreds of people on the ground. More questions?
I see none. Well, I'm sure Sławosz will be around. So, Sławosz, thank you so much. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you on stage. Thank you so much for your perspective. A round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sławosz. Thank you very much.